Hey everybody, welcome to Frequelize This. On this episode, we have Dave with us, and we also have Rich with us, and I'm John. And welcome to another episode of our all killer, no filler, where we will be tackling the Beatles White Album. Beatles White Album came out in 1968, and it is a double album, 30 tracks, and it's pretty darn amazing. An absolute outstanding album where the Beatles were finding their rock and roll roots again after going super psychedelic with Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper. So some people, though, think that there is some filler on this album. I don't know.
One of those people was George Martin, the Beatles producer. So there's a quote that I just pulled up here. He actually said that he was disappointed in the White Album. And he said, quote, "The White Album was the disappointment I referred to. I wanted to pare that down and issue one single album with the best stuff on it. But they insisted on putting down all of the songs they thought of. Some of the songs I thought were fairly trite, and some of them I thought were very good. So if we distilled it, we could have had a really super album." End quote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty wild. I don't think I knew
Whoa.
that. For me, 22 out of these 30 tracks are absolute bangers. And today we're trying to get it down to 15 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how this is going to work. We are going to take turns picking a song that we want to make sure we get into this top 15 list. And at the end of that, we're going to have a round where we can kind of mess around with someone else's pick. We could maybe pull someone else's pick off of there and get one of our favorites back on there if we want to, or if it got missed in the first go round. So a fun little catch we have there is that one time during this exercise, each one of us will be able to lock in the pick that we are picking. So if you've seen our other episodes where we did this with some Metallica and some Guns N' Roses, we kind of locked in our picks right off the bat because we were picking our favorites that we wanted to make sure we got on the list. But anyway, we can lock at any time, but only one time. And how about we get started? So we decided Rich was going to go first, then Dave will go, and then I'll be the third, and we'll just go round robin. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Rich.
All right. And I'm going to be very boring and very cliche because why mess with the lead track? I am going to lead off with Back in the USSR just because even though McCartney did sabotage Ringo's drumming on that, it is a great song, and it is a parody of a Beach Boys song, and which is interesting because this is right out of the friendly rivalry that McCartney and Brian Wilson had in the mid '60s with Revolver, Pet Sounds, Rubber Soul, Sgt. Pepper, etc. But this is a cool. This is also sets the tone for the album in general because there is a lot of influences from other bands, other musical sounds that find their way onto this album, which makes it such a fascinating listen. So why not lead this off this revolved version, as we were calling it, with the Beatles doing a Beach Boys parody, essentially.
Right on.
All
That's a
right,
good pick.
Dave.
You know, I Rich, right out of the gate, you went in a direction I wouldn't have. I enjoy the song. I wouldn't have gone. It's an interesting one to jump right out of the gate on. I get why you're doing it, but yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna go in a bit of a, well, I don't know if it's a bit of a different direction. Honestly, my favorite on the White Album, maybe not necessarily the most played, obvious, whatever. Glass Onion is
Hmm.
just my favorite track on the whole. And I'm going to jump in, and this may not even be worth using on this, but this is one that for me has to be in there. So I'm going to call this my protected whatever one. You may not,
Okay.
it may not be necessary, but that's not one that I would want to slide off anywhere.
All right.
Interesting. All right.
Dave, Dave's locking it in.
All right.
That's a good song.
It is a good song, and you gotta love the self references
Yep.
of that. So here's the thing, because like the famous ones like "I Am the Walrus," that they reference, "Fool on the Hill." I didn't realize until I heard somebody mention this. They actually reference a song from "Please Please Me" on here
Oh,
in
Mm.
really?
Glass Onion.
Which one?
There's a place when John goes, "Here's another place you can go." That's a reference to "There's a place,"
All right.
which are like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!"
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's just so here I'll go with my first choice, and let's just keep hovering around there at the beginning. I gotta pick Dear Prudence. Whoops. I'm dragging that around the wrong way. Sorry. Dragging the wrong part around. This is a top tier Beatles song for me off of any album. Um, just absolutely incredible track with those, just the use of the harmonies and that acoustic guitar. And oh my goodness, the engineering and producing and mixing on that track is astounding. It's an amazing sounding track. Such expert composition and songcraft in here. It's got to be on. It's got to be on
Yeah, you did the impossible right there. You just talked about "Dear Prudence" and did not bring up Paul McCartney's bass line,
it. Yeah, which is
which is an
incredible.
all-time bass line.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It really
Yeah.
is. All right, back to Rich.
All right, so we're actually now. I'm actually not going to do the thing and go chocolate. Like, oh yeah, let's just pick the fourth out song on side one. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to skip that. While My Guitar Gently Weeps,
Mm.
just because.
Yeah,
Yeah, Clapton's guitar, Harrison's lyrics are just brilliant. Um, and then to bring up Paul's bass line again, that chunky bass line that he does just adds menace to that song.
yeah, it's an
It's
amazing
really,
song.
really good. Really genius composition. Dave?
All right. So sticking with album one, I guess we're just going to stick in there. I am going to go a little further bit down and grab Blackbird.
Ooh,
Uh, that is another just, it just, I don't even know if I necessarily have words all the time for this, but Blackbird is just, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just a beautiful song.
it is. It's absolutely. That's a great pick. We are not going wrong with any of these picks.
No. It's just sublime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like this exercise isn't going to be hard here for the first half. We're all just going to be like, yes, excellent choice, excellent choice. I
Uh-huh.
totally
Yeah.
agree.
It's when the stuff that starts where we're realizing we're out of space and
Yeah.
something has to go. That's when it's going to get a little ugly, maybe.
This is going to get
Yeah.
painful. Oh, okay. So anticipating that, I'm going to do something that I don't think you're going to be surprised by this, but I don't know if you're necessarily going to agree with it. So I'm going to lock this one in,
All right.
and that's going to be Rocky Raccoon. So this one has to be here. Let me tell you why. I
No, it
don't
doesn't.
Rich.
It really doesn't, dude.
Okay, so one of the first times I was ever played the Beatles by my father was this song from this album. And it was like, let me introduce you to the greatest band ever. So I was 8 years old, I think. At least that's what my memories tell me. And yeah, this one has to be here.
So you're picking a song that appeals to 8-year-olds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not that was on my list too, John. So I'm with you on this.
Thank you.
I might not have picked it this early, and I might not have protected it,
Right.
but it would have made my list.
Yeah. So Rich,
And
one of the
let
things
me make
that
this perfectly clear. I like that song. I like that. The secret weapon of that is John's harmonica.
mm-hmm.
Because he
Yeah.
really just sets that atmosphere with that with the harmonica so well.
Yep. And it's lyrically clever. I I do think it's a well composed song. It's a lot of fun. And going back to your comment on, picking something that appeals to 8 year olds, uh, I actually liked that you said that because yeah, when the new Beatles song came out, and I was reading, just all of the kind of the comments that people are putting out there and stuff around that song, and it may have, I don't know if it was in the little documentary they made about that track where Sean Lennon had some quotes. So I'm not sure if it was him that said this, but essentially just so much acknowledgement of the multi-generational impact that the Beatles have had, right? So,
Hmm.
your 80-year-olds are still listening to the Beatles. Your 50-year-olds are still listening to the Beatles. Their 20-year-old children are listening to the Beatles. You know what I mean? So, yeah, let's have a song that appeals to 8-year-olds because that's how I got into the Beatles at 8 years old.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean that was obviously a snide remark, but just it was not the first time the Beatles did this too. I mean, Yellow Submarine, hello,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
um,
It's
yeah,
playful. It's fun. All right,
yeah.
Rich.
All right, it's my turn. So we're gonna go with one of holy crud! I just did the math. I think that I only have 3 picks left. This game really does suck.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
ah,
sometimes pick your picks, so it helps.
yeah, this is rough.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just gonna assume that we're gonna like put this in some sort of semblance of order
Yeah,
down the
we will.
road.
Yeah, we will.
And good, because I'm going to actually jump to the second album now, and I'm going to pick what I'm going to lock the song. My locked song. Gonna go with Your Blues.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love your blues, but in this context of only having 15 choices, it's a good thing you locked it.
yeah. No, and I'll tell you why I locked it because it's gritty, it's sweaty, it's nasty. I realize I could be talking about Helter Skelter, but this song is just has this snarl to it. And this one was John being completely inspired by the British blues scene that was happening at the time with like John Mayall and Cream and early Fleetwood Mac and all of that. And so he
Mhm.
really just puts all of that energy, and his vocal performance in this is just absolutely just lights out too. It's just
Yeah.
really really good. It's a it is a rocker. It is, yeah. It is great. And the thing is, the version of Rock and Roll Circus is even better.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because you have, obviously Lennon on vocals, Eric Clapton on lead guitar, uh, Keith Richards on bass, and Mitch Mitchell, the Jimi Hendrix Experience on drums.
Yeah.
And they just crush it.
It's cool. It is really
Yeah.
cool. Shoots. Dave, I'm curious, was this on your list? Because this was not on mine.
I'm going to sound like the guy that just seems to agree with things, but yes, it was later in my list, but this
Okay.
was another one where I was going through and I'm trying to decide which things make a list and which don't. And yeah, your blues, and I think for similar reasons, as Rich is mentioning, just kind of, I don't know if you want to say the raunchiness of it, just kind of just that extra bluesiness, heaviness,
Hmm.
which actually tees up. I'm going to go there from this to what I think is the next natural that needs to be a part of this, partially because of um, what I think musically comes from it. But Helter Skelter,
Yep.
um, just it just
Yeah.
opened doors for. I mean, it opened doors for metal to some degree,
Oh
It is
yeah.
total metal.
and just the song just rips. I mean, it's just great.
It's totally a metal song.
It
Absolutely.
Yeah.
is. It is
Well,
pro.
and when you and the metal bands that have done their own versions of it, it just feels so natural for them to pick up and run with it. Like what is it, Motley Crue doing their version? It just
Yep.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And
great pick.
And has a great backstory too. I mean, the McCartney wrote that just because he just wanted to one up Pete Townsend, because of what Townsend said in Melody Maker about "I Can See for Miles and Miles." It's like, yeah, I'll beat you, Pete, and that's exactly what he did. Um,
Yeah. Uh, it was either Townsend or McCartney saying that I Can See for Miles is like the loudest, most dirtiest track ever.
it was Townsend. It
Yeah.
was quoted in Melody Maker saying, "I Can See for Miles is the we just recorded the dirtiest, nastiest," and McCartney read that as like, "Yep, got to beat you."
Yeah. Got to top
Yeah,
it. Which is to me is fantastic testament to McCartney's just all around compositional skills, because he's the romantic pop ballad dude of the band, right? You'd almost think this
yeah,
would be a John track.
Yeah.
yeah. But you look at some of the other stuff that Paul had done before this. I'm down. It's just
Oh,
a balls to the wall
Yeah.
screecher,
that's a banger.
and that's how Aerosmith got their contract, because they put their cover version of "I'm Down" on their demo tape,
Yeah.
and that's what McCartney did. And you know, so having this belting this song out and just full throttle rock and roll, it's like, I mean, heck, She's a Woman is like that too.
Mm,
Just yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just McCartney though.
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is McCartney was the kind of guy where if there was a way to compete and a way to say, well, you can do that, yeah, sure, I can do that too, and I'm gonna kick your butt doing it. You know, anything and everything he saw seemingly as a challenge and rose to the occasion on all of it. And no matter what direction he headed out into, did it just beautifully, even when it wasn't intended to be beautiful in the slightest. Helter Skelter being one where you don't look at it and say, wow, that's a beautiful song. Blackbird does the beautiful song. Helter Skelter goes, I'm going to cut you at the knees and take you out.
Yeah, 100%.
Great
John.
pick. Great pick. That was on my short list. All right. Yeah. To me, um, so I am not sure how you two feel about this. And so we'll see if it can hang in there. But for me, there's just something about the chaotic nature of this and randomness, sort of. At least I remember, like as a young person, of these lyrics, just like, what the heck is going on? This song is so whack, and yet it is so fun, and it is absolutely singable. It is a good time, and that is Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey.
Yeah, that was almost. I was almost going to pick that before I picked Your Blues, just because that's such a fun song, and the lyrics are great. I mean, and again, it really showcases just how outstanding the outstanding musicianship that the Beatles did behind the scenes. If you actually listen to, you know, George's guitar work in the background, not the riff that John's doing, but just the fretwork that George's doing, and then the bass line, and then when McCartney at the end drops that do 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 do, it's just so cool. It is like one of the coolest freaking bass breaks ever. So cool.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
so cool. Well, I'm glad you like it. We'll see if it can last. Two more picks for each of us, starting
Yeah.
with Rich.
Yeah. Um. All right. So you took the one I was going to put on there with that song, but I'm going to pick the other one that I was thinking about. But I wanted to make sure that I got some of my last pick in there. Happiness is a Warm Gun,
Hmm.
because that is such a progressive song, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. How like there's like 4 or 5 different time signature changes in that song, and it's really just like this suite of ideas just stitched together, and it really works.
It's a
So
great song.
yeah.
And I have no problem with that pick. I hope that can stick around as well. It's a good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And Dave.
Wasn't as I John, I wasn't as much with you as Rich is on Everybody's Got Something to Hide, but fair enough. A little more, Happiness is a Warm Gun was a little more on my list, if I can actually say these things. Um, where am I going to go with this next one? You know what I think? Yeah, I'm gonna go this way. The continuing story of Bungalow Bill. It's
Mhm.
goofy, it's whatever, but just because you got your Rocky Raccoon and you've got your Bungalow Bill, and it's just those two kind of I don't know if you want to call them comedic palate cleansers or whatever, but you've got that different variety that they're going with in different directions. And this is just another fun one where it's just, yeah, it almost feels like a lark. Yeah, let's just do this too. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's a great song. And that's another one that certainly appealed to my 8-year-old self that was getting into this album.
Yeah.
So
And it's
Plus,
very,
go ahead, Dave.
well, it's the kind of thing that you want to, I want to sing along with it whenever it's on. You're just, that it's very, you just jump right in as it comes on. So yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and it references a Marvel character. He throws in a reference to Captain Marvel,
No.
which is fun.
That's fun.
All right, John.
Just getting some stuff out of the way there for when we get down to our track order. Okay. Second to last pick. Oh boy. I'm gonna head back to the beginning, y'all. This is just such a fun song, so singable. It's Obla Di, Obla Da. And this one I believe may have been part of my children's story of getting into the Beatles, just because I feel like we have sung this one a lot around the house when they were young and that kind of thing. I don't know,
Mhm.
but but it just has that sort of nostalgia for me of kind of just that playful youthfulness, maybe similar, yeah, to Bungalow Bill. I don't know if I'm just getting all soft and weepy in my 50s now, but it's a fun track.
Yeah. All right.
Rich, it's your last pick. Woo. How many more did are
All right.
how many that are not on here are you still really hoping to get on here?
So I have like three, but I'm gonna go with one that I've always enjoyed, and since we've already talked about had a song that showed Paul's playfulness and John's playfulness. Let's show George's playfulness, and let's put Piggy's on there
Hmm.
because it has the lyrics are extremely clever. The harpsichord in that is great, particularly that in the middle eight where it has that like kind of like bluesy harpsichord break in there, which is just phenomenal stuff. And yeah, it's just it has you see a glimpse of George's humor, which you don't see a lot in Beatles tracks. But then you look at it shows you what a thing him in the '70s befriending like the Pythons and having that great sense of humor where he was allowed to be that and showing up in the Ruddles and stuff like that. That really kind of points to that humorous side of George that you don't see a whole lot of. So this
Yeah.
is on there.
Yeah, and it's also clever social commentary.
Oh,
Uh
absolutely.
and which I wish we had uh, I wish we had more of that where it's clever.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays just that not he's not hitting anybody over the head, like I mean, you described the whole song, Rich, without even bringing it up. I mean, it's a fun song and it does have a sense of humor to it, but then it's also um like I say, I like to use the word or the phrase songcraft, I mean his lyricism in this really says something to what George could have been offering to the Beatles this whole time if he wasn't just given one song per side or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he showed his chops in that regard too with Taxman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I think is a little more blatant in his commentary. But I
Yeah,
mean,
that one's a little more
A
obvious.
little.
the way he describes some of those lyrics, like declare the pennies on your eyes. It's like it's just incredibly clever. And yeah, if the Beatles would have continued in the '70s, George would have been a way more prominent force on their records for sure.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to see if Piggy survives.
Yeah.
Oh, now this is feeling tough. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still a few, there's still a couple of them that I would like to see on here. And I was actually wrestling at one point with, where and do I include like a Revolution 1 and a Revolution 9? And since we haven't gone there at all, I don't feel like they go independent of each other.
Yes, they do.
I don't know.
Eh,
They can,
They 100% do. Because then you
they
have
do.
Revolution. Then you have the single version. So now you're what? You got to put
Yeah,
all three songs on. I mean,
well,
I don't
I
know.
mean, you don't
they
have
stand alone.
Revolution 9 without Revolution 1.
You don't what?
You don't have Revolution 9 without Revolution 1.
Right, but you can absolutely have one without the nine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but interesting. My preference is 9 as opposed to 1. So
What the what?
I know, I
I'm on
know,
Team Dave here.
He used his
right?
lock already, right? Please tell me he
I
used
know,
it.
and I'm not, and I say all this, and I'm teeing it up that I'm not going that direction anyway. So at this point, I'm just messing with your heads.
Okay.
Because the one that I would prefer to have stick around with this is why don't we do it in the road?
Woohoo!
I was
For
wondering if
all
one
its
of y'all
grand
was going to pick
subtleties, right?
What's that?
Oh, I did not expect one of y'all to pick this one.
I was hoping one of y'all would pick it.
Oh man, that is such a good track.
So yeah, I have to ask Dave, why did you pick this one?
It just always it's always just been a fun song for me. I don't there's not a super deep, and I'm not gonna cite who does what part of whatever. It's always just been a fun song for me. And out of the remaining ones that were left, yeah, I was tossed back and forth. I almost went with Birthday because I really enjoy that song, and but that almost feels like it release it in some other form, some other way. It can be a standalone single. It doesn't need to be a part of this, where this feels like it kind of is a better fit with the whole.
Right.
Well, there's one slot left, and because Dave picked that and not one of my 5 stars, I have 2 tracks left that are like 5 stars for me. I'm gonna pick "Don't Pass Me By."
Huh.
Yeah, I love the bounciness in that song, but then also the sort of like not sadness, if you will, but sort of that what's the word I'm looking for? When the kind of an anxiety or whatever of it. Um,
All right.
it's to me, it's a good combination of um, the music and the lyrics where you're not getting exactly what you might expect, and so yeah, for me, that's a good one.
All
So
right.
that being said, we are now at the round where, and Rich, we will start with you, where if something didn't make this list that is a song you feel like it belongs here, you can do a swap.
All right. First of all, these are great songs. They're really good picks. Um, although I'm looking at um and I hate to do this because you just picked it, John, but I gonna swap the one Ringo song with the other one. I'm gonna go Good Night, and here's why. It's a great closer. I don't think it gets enough credit for being a good closer to that album because Revolution 9 precedes it and everybody, rips on Revolution 9. But this song is beautiful. Ringo's voice is so great because it is that lullaby and it has that childhood, that childlike quality to it. Because this is like, you're sending your kids to bed. And George Martin strings arrangements on this record in particular, just absolutely beautiful. I mean, the use of like the cello and the viola is like, oh my gosh, it's just so stirring. So that's my pick.
Well, I liked the way that you talked about it and why it should be here.
All right.
I don't, yeah, I don't know if I agree just based on how many amazing songs are on this album. Um, when it comes to those slower ballad type things that sort of finish off disc one or disc two, I think I would probably go with Julia over this, but okay.
All
We
right.
have some Good Night on there. What do you think, Dave?
I think you tipped your hat toward where I was going to go
Oh,
because I would have a preference for Julia over Goodnight.
All right.
And so
is
we're
that
just
what we're
fighting
doing?
over that last spot, I guess.
Yeah.
But and partially for me there's a bonus piece to it. I've got a niece named
Mhm.
Julia, so that adds a whole other flavor of so songs of that name kind of grab my attention for that bonus reason. But I've always enjoyed Julia a little bit better for that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
we're just
All
swapping
right.
that last one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and the lyrics are beautiful too. I mean, it has
Yeah.
one of my favorite John lyrics ever. When I cannot speak my heart, I can only speak my mind. So it's like, yeah, classic John lyric.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh well, I don't think we talked about this in any of our other episodes that we've done, but I think I'm going to go ahead and we'll make a rule here that I can't try to now reintroduce Don't Pass Me By. Um because
It's just one that circle. Yeah, don't
yeah,
complete the circle.
that I think that'd be pretty lame to get all circular about it and get mad and I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. So on the one hand, I could be really good with this list, uh, and call it and say we're done. Uh, but there's just one little thing. Hmm. Would you go, Dave? I don't know. Would you guys get super mad if I took out Why Don't We Do It in the Road and swapped it for Birthday?
Yep.
Yeah, you'd get super mad.
I just get super disappointed because birthday is so played out.
Yeah, but it's
I
so
hate to
good.
be the effed out guy, but
Well, and so that's the thing is that it's like the one other five-star song I have that we didn't put on this list. But and I was thinking while we were doing this, I was actually thinking of maybe not putting it on here because it is not only is it so played out, but it's also sort of a certain occasion type of song.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going for this timeless ultimate playlist, right? Of the absolute best that this album has to offer. You know what?
That's why I hesitated because it was something I considered,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I look at it's a great song. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it's out there. But if I was constructing this album, I do something else with it. If you have a single, throw it out somewhere else. A side B of something. It doesn't need to be in this stripped down version of the White Album.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good idea. That's good.
Yeah, because I mean, I really love the acoustic version of Revolution. Revolution 1 is great, but do we really need to have that since the single version, the B side, is an all time rocker,
Oh yeah.
and I don't think we need that.
Yeah, I'll
So,
take that single version over the album version here.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So we
Well,
talk you out of that.
you did. You talked me out of it. So we have
So we gotta shuffle them around and see what fits where.
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and propose that we keep that four opening 4-track suite going in the order the Beatles did it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you have to have back. Dear Prudence have the back of the USSR because they cross over into each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's almost like for me, this is um this is one of those 4-track runs that's just pretty much absolutely perfect. Kind of like the 4-track suite on Jellyfish's Spilt Milk, and
Yep.
this is at that
Side one leave. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
right. It's at that
Yeah.
level right there. But then where do we go? So after Obla Di Obla Da,
I think you go continuing story of Bungalow Bill, which then slides into uh, While My Guitar Gently Weeps because you have that vocal break and then it just goes into While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
so okay, so you have us going in order of the album right now.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
I don't really have an argument to say something needs to move yet on that. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to mess it up just to do something different, but is there a reason to?
Right.
Um, hmm. Is it now at this point, where would you go after this? Because the next, if we stick with order, what's next down would be Blackbird.
No, happiness is the
Happiness.
one gun.
Happiness. Yeah.
Do is there
I don't
a
know.
And if we do that, that's pretty much side one.
Right.
yeah, it is, isn't it?
I mean, minus a couple tracks, but yeah.
Yeah, let's keep that unit together. Yeah.
Okay, so happiness after guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that means let's just theoretically say that's the end of side one, which works because we still have a couple shorter songs to play with here. And so my thought is start off side two with an absolute banger.
Yeah.
And I think it's either Monkey or Helter Skelter.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of if that's the start of side two, Helter Skelter going into your blues.
Mm. Yeah, I think that can work.
All right.
I don't know. What do you think, Rich? Just from like way of that might flow.
See, because because the end start. I don't know because the Helter Skelter's Ringo. I got blushes on my fingers with the guitar, and then your blues starts off with Ringo counting down 2, 3. So that might be a little bit disjointed, and I'm afraid if we would start the theoretical side two with Helter Skelter, that may be a little bit too aggressive.
You want to build to it as opposed to just rip right into it.
Which is why it works so well on the album because it actually comes after, Mother Nature's Son, which is a beautiful acoustic, and then Sexy Sadie, which, has this lyrical guitar outro, and then bam.
So do you want to do Monkey and then Helter Skelter?
Now, I would actually say,
What are you thinking?
I would say Monkey, Rocky Raccoon in the
Hmm.
number 2 spot.
Hmm. All right, let me get these things moved around here. So monkey. And
Rocky
then
Raccoon.
where's Rocky Raccoon in the list? Where are you? Here you are. Okay.
And
Everybody's got
then,
Rocky Raccoon.
okay, what do you think about flipping? Because on the album, it goes Piggy's Rocky Raccoon. What do you think about flipping Rocky Raccoon followed by Piggy's?
I kind of like that. I was actually about to suggest it.
And
I like
then
that.
after the grunting, then you have Helter Skelter's aggressive guitar kick in.
Yeah.
Okay.
The piggies almost lull you to sleep. Not really,
Right.
but they sort that grunting sort of fades out, right? Kind of a
It fades out, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden,
And then bam.
bam, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool, yeah.
And then I think you go Julia after that.
Really? I was actually
Either
I was really
Julia.
liking where Julia's at the end there.
All
I
right. Then let's go
Yeah,
Blackbird.
I think we leave Julia at 15.
I think we need Blackbird.
That
Yes. That's a better 12.
that's our palate cleanser.
Yep. And then 13, you got your blues in that 13 spot.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
You're not gonna take do it in the road first and then your blues?
No,
Okay. Why don't we do
because
it in the
that way
road,
you
Julia?
have, side two fits great because you have, this fun hard rock. You have kind of the goofy suite going on, right? With Monkey, Raccoon, and Piggies. Then the metal of Helter Skelter, the soft acousticness of Blackbird, the bluesy bar band, and that really is the Beatles as a bar band in your blues. And then you have cheeky fun with Why Don't We Do It on the Road, and then that beautiful acoustic stuff with Julia, which ends side two of the album anyway. So
Wow. I think we did it. This is pretty cool. This is a great list right here.
yeah, it is. And the fun thing is to look at like the leftover songs, and we, if I'm looking at this right, there's not a single song from side four on this list that we created.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Savoy, all three of us have lamented that Savoy Truffle didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right. Those horns.
Yeah. I think if we could get a 16th track, that's probably, would you guys
Yeah.
agree that'd probably be our pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is great. Wow. I can't believe we did it. I thought it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. I didn't cry at all.
Yeah. Did I?
I think that just is, I mean, yeah, it's a great trick. I got weird with the Rocky Raccoon and Rich. I don't know that I would keep your blues on there if it wasn't protected.
That was strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your blues. That's just because your blues has always been one of my favorite songs on this album.
Yeah. If I could have, I would have pulled that for Savoy Truffle, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Or Don't Pass Me By if it hadn't already been like retired permanently. But man, what a good list. All right, everybody. That'll do it for this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this. This was fun. And give us a like and a subscribe, please, if you don't mind. But what's really fun is when you get into the comments with us and let us know your favorite ones that we totally screwed up on and we didn't include, or that's got to be there for you that you would lock in. And and yeah, just love to engage with y'all in comments. So thanks for being here and good night, everybody.
Thank you.